What is up, guys? This is Shuby for Still Slaps. Thank you for joining me today. Here today, we're going to be reviewing the Weeknd's new album, Dawn FM. Thank you guys for joining me. If this is your first time at the channel, we appreciate you stopping by. Please leave a like, leave a comment if you're feeling the review. So, to get into it, we're going to talk about this. So the Weeknd is obviously one of the bigger acts of our recent time, and he has definitely proven that, especially with this album, that he is very, very comfortable in a specific sonic lane. This album is very, very much so on par with the kind of similar After Hours sonic theme with the production. I will say that this album feels a lot bigger. But at the same time, it is a very similar lane in a lot of areas with the way this track list is sounding. I think that the Weeknd came into this project with, like I said, a similar thematic element when you're talking about the past album, After Hours, and he was kind of sort of on the same road. There's a couple of differences, but nothing too major to really offset it from After Hours. And I think that is something that is, I don't think it necessarily hurts the Weeknd. I think that he did a good job with highlighting his performances, his vocal performances in a lot of different areas. There's some highlights off of this track list that really solidify the Weeknd's spot and really reminds you that he is, at the top, one of the ones at the top for a reason. Songs like Sacrifice, the intro of this thing is really banging. The Dawn FM, the self-titled track is very much a solid intro. And it really is a reminder in a lot of different areas on this thing. The instrumentals are very much expanded. They're these big synthwave, bright, atmospheric tones that really paint the album sonically so well. And I think that is a strong suit in the Weeknd's cards. I think that he is, like I said, very much comfortable, but at the same time, continues on with his style. He is very much so an artist who likes to take these themes with his songs and really stretch them out. He stretches them out really far. I think the length of this album, for 16 tracks, I think that this album, it can get a little blended at times. I have a hard time really separating each song from each other, just because with synthwave music, with a lot of this type of music that is on here, the dream pop and the synthwave, when it's really blended together like this, you could have a really difficult time just because of how similar a lot of the elements of a track will sound from an electronic standpoint. So sometimes it is very difficult to remember, okay, how did this specific track sound like? And what is the difference from that being apart from there? Then again, it does tie in well to whatever the theme the Weeknd is working with on this album. Lyrically, I will say that this is definitely, it's nothing new for the Weeknd. It's almost like a walk in the park for him to be able to take this theme that he's been running with for quite some time. I will say the radio personality of Jim Carrey hosting Dawn FM as a concept was super dope. I love the fact that these bigger artists are incorporating more in this recent time with music, incorporating our actors that we know and love, that we came up with, and putting them in this new sort of light. Jim Carrey is the ideal Dawn FM radio personality, and it comes off as a very creative concept, and his narration and everything like that was very much so on point, especially at the last track of the album, which is just him narrating. He has some bars. He was dropping some nice spiritual poetry on you, and it really does make the Weeknd's idea sell. he sells it very, very well with that. The downsides of the album, I will say, like I said, other than some of it sounding very similar because of the direction with Abel the Weeknd wanting to really keep that tight niche of synthwave blended together on one project. Aside from that, I will say I am a little disappointed with the Tyler the Creator feature. I think that feature, when it came on, I was really looking forward to it. It was probably my most anticipated on the track list. But Tyler, his delivery, he decided to go with a very bare minimal rap flow delivery. And some people won't have a problem with that. I do feel like at the end of the day, it's very forgettable. I do feel like it is below the belt for Tyler at this point in time. Pause. I think that it's just below his average for him, especially off of the run that he's been doing. I felt like this was an opportunity for Tyler to really get on this record alongside with Weeknd, one of the biggest pop stars that we have in recent time, and really just do him in the sense of come from a more melodic lane. And I think that's why I don't really vibe with it as much, because it's just kind of like a phone in. You can tell it's a phone in. It feels very, very stripped. It feels very bare. And yeah, it was a drop ball for me. It was a drop ball for me. I guess I don't know if Tyler and Abel really sat down and talked about it, as far as, I don't know if it got as far as, okay, you just write this verse and we're gonna call it a day. You don't have to, I don't want you to do anything melodic. I don't know who made the final call on it. But then again, I brought this up with some of the guys in the chat. You get to the Lil Wayne feature, and the Lil Wayne feature, Wayne is doing his thing on a melodic front. It sounds like he really wanted to bring the melodies, and we all know that Wayne is not the best from a melodic standpoint. He's very much so very underwhelming in a lot of areas when it comes down to his singing. But the fact that he was able to sell that point of getting on a record with The Weeknd and pushing that melody forward, even though we know that he is a very, very kind of lukewarm auto-tune artist in certain areas, it still sells for me. It's not the best performance in the world, but it still sells. And that's what I really was looking forward to from Tyler. But unfortunately, we didn't get it. So all in all, I think that this project was a great drop. It was a great start. And I think The Weeknd is really, he's flourishing in a lot of different areas from his artistry. He's been on a great run recently. So I'm not going to knock him completely for a lot of the cons on this album, because in retrospect, the cons are very small. I did appreciate the production a lot. I appreciated that little skit from Quincy Jones. The narration was on point, and his story and the way Weeknd was able to tie that in with his own element on this album. I really did appreciate that. So you guys, let me know how you're feeling about this first big project of the year. We're gonna keep it going. Hopefully we could get a little bit more from a artist standpoint, as far as a different variety. I think the next thing I want to see from The Weeknd is something a little bit more soulful. I want him to kind of stray away from the synth wave a little bit, because right now it does seem like it's a little overwhelming, but at the same time, it does feel like he's comfortable and he wants to stay in this, this lane. And if that's the case, good for him. As long as he keeps on with creating the atmospheres that he's been creating, I think he'll be fine. But you guys, let me know how you're feeling about this album. You guys, let me know as well future artists that you're looking forward to hearing from this year. We got a lot planned for the channel this year, and it's definitely supposed to be a good year for music. So if we're starting off like this with Weeknd being one of the biggest artists to drop, who knows, you know, where the limits will really be as far as new music this year. Thank you guys for tuning in for today. Once again, this is Shuby, Weeknd, Dawn FM, still slaps.
That slaps.